All right, welcome to the 28th edition of the Sports Mashup. September 8th is the date, 2021 is the year, and it's a big one. NFL season beginning tomorrow from when we're recording this. Very exciting stuff. Sundays are full for the rest of the year. Saturdays pretty much are too if you're really into college football. But let's just get the NBA out of the way. Still, ways out from the season in a bit of a dead period, as we always are at this point in the off season. But your guy LaMarcus Aldridge coming out of retirement after clearance with doctors to rejoin the Nets.
Yeah, and when I first heard that he was going to come back out, I didn't. Uh, when I first thought, I thought he was signing somewhere else, not even with the Nets. But
Well, not unexpected that he would come back. It seemed like the door was still open when it happened. It was an unfortunate way to go out if that's the way that he did go out, but he is coming back, so that's good for him.
no, and I think
Um,
that I think he's a better fit there because with DeAndre Jordan leaving as their stretch five, basically, he may end up being a four.
yeah, he'll fit there fine. I mean, they're going to have a lot of older veteran depth. I don't know how much that's going to work, but we'll see because they also added Paul Millsap. And then they also got Sekou Doumbia and Jahlil Okafor in a trade with the Pistons for DeAndre Jordan. DeAndre Jordan gets bought out by the Pistons, joins the Lakers. So every old player in the NBA who was once an All-Star or once a good player and is not that good anymore is signing with the Nets and Lakers. That's kind of just the
No,
theme.
and I like Paul Millsap.
Yeah, he's obviously not what he used to be, but he's still good. I mean, you look at the All-Star teams from the mid 2010s, pretty much everybody on those teams was playing for the Nets or Lakers, and then there's Chris Paul. So interesting. Speaking of Chris Paul and his team, number one in the West in the early NBA.com power rankings, top three in the West, Suns, Lakers, Jazz, top three in the East, Nets, Bucks, Hawks. I'm a little surprised, a little disrespectful for an early power ranking not to have the defending champs as number one in their conference, but it is the NBA, so whatever goes, goes, I suppose.
And then
No big
I wonder who's the four in each. I'm sure in the East, it's got to be either between Boston or the 76ers.
Well, the West, I would assume, would be the Clippers, but I don't really know who else would challenge them for the number four spot at this point. But
And then you had the Bulls agree to a 2-year deal with Alize Johnson. Don't know who
former
that
net,
is.
former net, he was in the Nets last year. He was playing when everybody was hurt. That's all I
Mm.
know.
And then the Grizzlies trade Hernan Gomez to the Celtics for Chris Dunn, Carson Edwards, and then they swapped 2026 second round picks.
Yeah, I don't know much about the desire for this deal for both teams. I think that Carson Edwards was a very, very good player at Purdue, but I don't know how much of a future he has. Maybe going to the Grizzlies will give him some more playing time, but we'll see.
Hernan Gomez, I believe, played at like Virginia Tech. I think Virginia Tech. He
Yeah,
was a
this is kind of one of
shooter.
those, maybe one of those throwaway trades. I didn't
And
even know
then
this happened.
where'd Chris Dunn play?
Chris Dunn played at Providence. Supposed
I,
to be a really good player. Didn't turn out to be very good in the NBA to this point.
no, he was a really good shooter in college, right?
Very good offensive player at Providence. Yeah, somebody that I really liked watching, especially when the tournament came around. But
Yeah.
he's going to a team that had another player that was fun to watch in the tournament, which was John Morant. Very fun player to watch in college, Murray State. But let's do the NFL. Let's go there. Lots to do here. First of all, Le'Veon Bell signs with the Ravens practice squad. I think if you're Le'Veon Bell right now, aren't you regretting not signing the massive extension that the Steelers offered him
I
before
mean,
he held, or while he was holding out?
I think you have to be.
I know those contracts are like there's like hidden money in those in terms of what's guaranteed, what's not guaranteed, signing bonus stuff, but like running backs fall off. That's why they don't get paid.
Well,
The
and
two great examples
he
are
wanted. Uh, who else signed a contract before him that he wanted that money? Was it Kamara? It was a receiver back basically, and but he wanted that kind of contract, and they weren't off wanting him.
yeah, the two great examples of running backs falling apart in the last few years are Le'Veon Bell and Todd Gurley. That's why you don't pay a running back pretty much. So It's risky, very
and
risky.
David Johnson.
Yeah, like the Ezekiel Elliott contract is absurd. That's also why you don't really want to. You want to try to avoid taking a running back in the top 5 in the draft. Like I think the Giants will probably end up regretting taking Saquon Barkley unless he stays healthy from here on out. But drafting a running back that high is just so risky, and that's why a lot of teams don't do it.
But
Here's
I
a
mean, the
ridiculous.
Ravens needed it. I mean, they
Yeah, they've
lost
had a
J.K.
ton of.
Dobbins, and everyone hated on him for it. But literally, it was on the 9th play of the game, and they played the least amount of starters in the preseason.
Did they?
Yeah,
Because the Packers had to be up there. They played like nobody. I bet the
the
Packers
Ravens have
had 4
always played
starters.
like nobody.
I think most teams should take that philosophy based off of last year for the most part.
But I
There was no
mean,
preseason
it was on
last
the
year.
9th game, a freak act like.
Yeah, I don't know why anybody would try to blame a team for that. It's stupid,
But I
but
mean, now they have Gus Edwards, who played a lot. I mean, he's always gotten a lot of snaps. But then after that, it was a question on who was going to be their backups. I mean, Le'Veon going in there, he wanted to go somewhere he's going to get playing time. And I think in that offense, he can fit in that RPO game as
yeah, I think you can.
a receiving back.
It's one of the
Fantasy
better
wise, I don't
situations he could have
know.
gotten into.
Like, I mean, someone picked him up in our league immediately when he signed or
I'd
whatever,
stay
but
away from him.
I wouldn't have. But I mean, if you're in a deep league,
Yeah. If it's a 20-team league, maybe you pick him up.
yeah, I'd say anything over 12, you probably have him. Someone's got him, but a 10-man league, I don't see why you would take him,
Yeah,
take a roster spot,
wouldn't even think about it in that regard.
especially because he probably won't even be moved from the practice squad to the main roster until like week 3 or 4.
Yeah. Got to get conditioning, get used to the offense,
Yeah,
all of those things. The Deshaun Watson thing is absurd. David Culley, the head coach of the Texans, who nobody's ever heard of, he's probably going to flame out in 2 years, win like 4 games. Uh, he confirms that Deshaun Watson will not be playing Sunday against the Jaguars. Everybody knew it was coming. Tyrod Taylor's playing, but
well, yeah, they named Tyrod like a week ago.
well, here's the problem I have with this. Like, what does Deshaun Watson want at this point? Number one, is he being disciplined by the NFL at all for the whole allegations that came out against him? Is that part of the reason why he's not suiting up or being active, or is it the trade request? Because at this point, you haven't been traded. Do you not have that much of a love for football to play? I mean, I think there's something weird going on
Well,
deep
yeah.
in this
Well,
thing.
and Houston still got to pay him that big contract, so
I don't get it. I mean, we'll see if Deshaun even plays this year. I'd kind of be surprised if he did at this rate. I mean, maybe.
like Tyrod's probably making like a quarter of what Watson's making this year, and he's the starter.
Maybe even less than that.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, that was just I don't know what Tyrod's
Yeah,
contract.
it's a weird situation, very weird. But let's look at NFL.com's top 10 power rankings going into Week 1. Number 1 is the defending champ Bucks. 2 is the Chiefs. 3 is the Bills. 4 Packers. 5 Ravens. 6 Rams. 7 Seahawks. 8 Browns. 9 49ers. And 10 is the Steelers. So a couple things for me. Number 1, I may be a Packer fan, but I do think it's a little bit ridiculous that people think the Bills are better than the Packers. It's cute. We can go with it if you want. But and number 2, I think the Niners are better than the Seahawks and Rams. So I think they should be ahead of them. And then I don't think the Steelers should be in the top 10. I think the Ravens are a little overrated. But yeah, so that's 2. By the way, 6 of the 10 spots on this list are taken up by 2 different divisions: NFC West, AFC North. So that's pretty top heavy. I'm glad the Cowboys aren't in this because they don't deserve it. I think some people would put them in
Yeah,
there just because of
and
the whole.
I think the Ravens are also rated. Just they lack receivers that he really needs.
Yeah, I don't get why a team like Tennessee isn't on this. Like I feel like Tennessee's proven over the last couple of years they can get to the playoffs and be successful.
Yeah,
And
that should definitely be a team that's over the Steelers.
yeah, that's one. And then I would think after that, New England should be looked at in the top 15, I think, just because you have to trust Belichick, and Mac Jones has a lot of hype, and their defense is supposed to be good again. I
Yeah.
don't think they should be top 10, but they should get a top 15 look. But the Browns, I think, are a team that has gone from being terrible to everyone thinking they're going to be great, and now they're actually going to be good, and I still think they're being slightly overlooked. Like 8 is a really good spot for them, but I think they're better than Baltimore. I think they're better than the Rams. I think they're better than the Seahawks. I'd put them at 5 or 6 just based off of, number one, they have a ton of playmakers on both sides, and number two, they made it to the playoffs and won a playoff game last year.
If they could just find a coach and stick with the coach.
I think Stefanski's going to be a guy they stick with. But
well, no, I'm just, if they can stick with him and work and use, his offense and everything, that would be great. But they keep sitting there. They get all like the first year they got all the guys, whatever, on Hard Knocks. Boom. Nope.
Yep.
You're out of here. Change everything. Hey, Baker, I'm glad you just got here. You're getting a new offensive coordinator next year. Oh, and after that, you're getting another one.
This is head coach number 3 for Baker Mayfield in 4 years?
Yeah.
Because he had, Hugh Jackson, Freddie Kitchens, then Stefanski. And the hilarious thing is they won a playoff game last year when Stefanski couldn't coach due to COVID. So it's kind of funny.
So this is his third offensive coordinator.
Yeah. I don't know how much the systems have changed. But
wasn't Freddie Kitchens his rookie year the quarterback coach?
He was either the QB coach or the offensive coordinator, one of the two. And then he was the head coach, and then there was a disaster, and then now Stefanski.
I also don't think he really got that great of a shot.
Yeah, I don't know. They should have been a lot better than they were when he was the head coach. And I don't really think the team played for him, but I don't know. Who knows?
And then stunning, the Saints dropped Latavius Murray because he wouldn't take a pay reduction.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I don't know about that.
He was making like $3.6 million, I think, or something.
That's a pretty low number to be asking him to take a pay cut.
Yeah, like Mike Evans, he took another pay reduction to help get more money to practice squad players and like the staff.
A little different when you win a Super Bowl, but yeah.
But I mean, he's always been that guy.
Yeah, that's a good move. That's
when they wanted to add people last year, he took a pay cut.
A lot of different ways that the NFL teams can go about fixing the salary cap. All I know is that teams like the Packers and Saints are screwed after this year. So better win now, and they play each other week 1. We'll see. But let's do season predictions in the NFL. At the end of this episode, we will do our week 1 picks, introducing what we will be doing the entire season in terms of how we're going to pick games. NFL season predictions, division winners in the AFC. We'll start in the AFC East. I like the Buffalo Bills. I'm assuming you're the same.
I have New England.
Really? Okay. I have New England making the playoffs. A little teaser for the wild card picks, but Buffalo, I think, wins the division, although I think they're going to take a bit of step back.
I just think Mac Jones is really going to help that offense. They're loaded at receivers and tight ends. They've always had running back depth. When Stephon Gilmore gets back, he's just going to add to that defense.
I think they're going to be very good.
They brought Van Noy back.
I think the rookie quarterback thing scares me away from picking them to win the division, but I think they'll make the playoffs.
Yeah, I like him because he's always been a system quarterback. He's accurate. He plays his reads where he'll check down. He's not going to force balls like some rookies would.
I think releasing Cam Newton is the best move they could have made. Letting Mac Jones know that this is his team, and the Saban-Belichick thing usually works out for the most part. AFC North, who do you like?
I have Baltimore.
I'm going Cleveland. I teased it a little bit a few minutes ago. I like the Browns a lot this year. I think they're gonna win the division. I don't know how far they'll go in the playoffs, depending on who they draw in terms of a matchup. But I like the Browns a lot. AFC South, I like the Titans.
I as well have Tennessee.
Not much competition. I think Jacksonville is going to be better but bad. I think Houston's going to be a disaster. I think the Colts are going to take a bit of a step back.
Yeah, because you still don't know where Wentz is coming in at.
It looks like Wentz is going to play this week. That's the early report because Frank Reich said he'd be a full participant.
It's still huge with them losing Quentin Nelson.
Yeah, I think I don't know if he'll be back this week, but I think he'll be back quickly.
I mean, yeah, there are other guards, but he's probably the best guard in the league.
I think right now he's the best. Yeah, I would not disagree with that. AFC West, I think this is pretty consensus. Kansas City.
Yeah.
I like the Chargers a lot. Didn't have the stones to pick them to make the playoffs, but I was very tempted to have them in the playoffs and Herbert winning MVP, but I won't go that far. But wild card teams, I have New England, Baltimore, Pittsburgh. So 2 AFC North teams getting in, and then an AFC East team as well.
I have Buffalo, Cleveland, and the Chargers. So we have the same AFC, except I just have the Chargers and you have Pittsburgh.
Yes, same playoff teams. So we'll see. If Pittsburgh misses the playoffs, it'll be a pretty big disaster. I really did consider putting the Chargers in over them. Couldn't pull the trigger. As much as I love Herbert, it's a first-year head coach. I don't think their defense is going to be what it should have been or could be over the last couple of years. But I think Herbert's a stud, and I think he'll take an even bigger step if he's healthy. Let's go NFC. NFC East, probably the hardest division to pick. I went with the Cowboys. I don't love the pick, but if Dak stays healthy, this division is pretty bad. So
I picked the Cowboys as well, but I was close to picking the Giants.
I considered Washington and the Giants. I just couldn't. I don't think a team with Ryan Fitzpatrick as the quarterback for an entire season
can
have like a good record.
That's why I didn't pick them. Antonio Gibson needs to stay healthy for them.
And the Giants' offense is going to suck this year. That's kind of what's scary. Like, even if Saquon's healthy, I don't think Daniel Jones is going to be that much better than he's been, and their offensive line's terrible.
I mean, they brought in
injury issues.
In receivers.
Kadarius Toney, Kenny Golladay, and Evan Ingram all got injured in the preseason. I don't know if all 3 of them are going to be playing week 1, so the Giants' offense is going to be terrible. NFC North, I really, really thought about going with the Vikings because I think the Packers are not going to have as good of a regular season as they have the last couple of years, but I ended up taking the Packers. I think they'll win the division by a game or 2, but I went with the Packers.
I as well took Green Bay.
NFC South, Tampa Bay, because the rest of the division is horrible. So, easy pick.
Yeah.
NFC West, another tough one. Probably the second hardest one to pick for me. I went with San Francisco because I'm banking on, number one, trusting Kyle Shanahan. I don't care who the quarterback is. I think the offense is going to be good no matter what because Shanahan's a genius. And stay healthy. This is the biggest thing. Last year they had a billion injuries. I think they'll bounce back. Give me the Niners. I think people are overlooking them because of last year. They're going to be good.
I took a surprise pick here. If you want to guess who I took.
I'm going to guess Arizona.
I did.
Yeah, see, I just don't trust Kyler Murray. They have a lot of good players, but I don't trust the Kyler Murray, Cliff Kingsbury thing. I'm not a fan of that.
The only reason, I mean, you still have his legs. They've got decent running backs.
They got weapons. They do have receivers.
And then they have
AJ Green, DeAndre Hopkins, Christian Kirk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Larry Fitz.
Tough one. Yeah.
I mean, you got 4 great receivers there.
It's a tough one. I don't know. I just don't trust the Kingsbury-Murray thing to be good enough for an entire season. Wildcard teams, I have Minnesota, I have the Rams, and the Seahawks. So I have Arizona missing.
I have New Orleans, San Fran, and Seattle.
So we have most of the same except for 2.
Yeah, you have Minnesota, where I would have New Orleans, and then who's your other wild card?
Minnesota, LA, Seattle.
Yeah, I don't have the Rams. I have Arizona.
And then we both had San Fran. Okay, yeah. Interesting. Let's do the MVP winner. I'm going to take Patrick Mahomes, who's the odds-on favorite. I'm going to say he throws for about 4,900 to 5,000 yards, about 53-ish touchdowns, and I'll say 13 picks and another MVP.
I took Josh Allen. He's plus 1,200 on DraftKings as right now to win the MVP. I just took a shot in the dark with him.
Mahomes is plus 500. My second pick probably would have been Herbert, but they didn't make the playoffs on my predictions. That wouldn't make that much sense. I think Rodgers will have a good enough season to be in the conversation. I think Brady will as well, and I think Allen probably will. Probably not Dak. I think Baker Mayfield will be like a mid-level, like they'll talk about him for it, maybe 39 to 42 touchdowns. If Jarvis, Landry, and OBJ, and Hooper, and Chubb, and Hunter all healthy, that would help. But okay,
Super Bowl
let's
pick.
do Super Bowl pick, which I skipped over for some reason. Who you got in that?
I have Tampa at plus 600.
I'm taking Green Bay, so we're both going to pick our favorite teams. Interesting. I don't usually like
even
doing
though,
this.
Even though for a team to repeat, but I mean Tampa brought everyone back.
Who would you have them beating in the Super Bowl? Kansas City again, or Buffalo, or someone like that?
Yeah, probably one of those two.
How about New England, Tampa? That would be interesting.
Well, let's see. Hey, let's first see how they play. When do they play? Like week 6?
Week 5, week 6, something like that. Yeah, that'll be interesting. Sunday night. Probably the most watched Sunday night game to that point will be that one.
See, probably one of the youngest quarterbacks versus the oldest.
Yeah, Mac Jones is by 22, 23, and then Tom is like 42, 43.
I mean, who is Mac's not the youngest. It's got to be Lance.
Trey Lance, yeah.
Him or
Trey Lance.
Zach
But Trey Lance
Wilson.
isn't the starter, so Zach Wilson's the youngest starter, I'm assuming. I would have the Packers beating the Bills myself. The last 2 years I picked the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. I'm not going to pick them to be in it this time. So I never picked the Packers to win it all. I probably haven't done that in like 8 years, but I feel something. Maybe they're going to suck. I'm just going to trust it the entire year. I don't care what the regular season record is. It's all about the playoffs because they're going to have about negative $40 million in cap space next year.
You think this year they don't kick the field goal?
Yeah, I think they're going to trust Rodgers even more this year. I think that they're going to do that. Hopefully they don't run into Tampa in the playoffs. And if they do, I think they'll be better prepared. And hopefully Bakhtiari is healthy. But my surprise team of the year is the Patriots to make the playoffs. And my disappointing team is the Colts to miss the playoffs.
My surprise team is the Chargers. And my disappointing team is Pittsburgh.
All right, pretty much along the same lines there. For those, I mean, this should be an interesting season, definitely. And looking at a few over-under awards, odds, prop bets, those types of things.
The only one I wrote down was Rookie of the Year, Mac Jones at plus 600.
That's a good one. Now, one that I like, in terms of odds, I don't think I'd pick it per se. But Baker Mayfield plus 3,500 for MVP is something that may be worth taking a shot on, just because I think he's going to put up numbers. I don't think he's going to have a good enough year overall to win it, but I think that he'll be in the conversation, which 3,500, pretty big number for that. Another one that I like, Defensive Rookie of the Year, somebody who looked like a stud in the preseason, Patrick Surtain, Denver. He's at plus 1,200. He's got the fourth best odds behind Parsons, Jameer Davis, Jalen Phillips.
Yeah,
so
I mean, Micah Parsons, I think he could explode onto the scene.
He looked good,
and Surtain. The only thing I worry about him is he is going to be on the field a lot.
Yeah, but they got good corners in Denver to kind of help him out.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just meaning that defense is going to get worn down.
The offense is going to suck. Yeah, it's going to be the Chicago Bears special for sure. One that I'm not even going to write down.
Hopefully, they got a good punter because they're going to need him.
Absolutely. One thing that I'm not going to write down, but I'm going to say it is Dak Prescott plus 210 comeback player of the year is pretty much a lock if he stays healthy the whole year and plays reasonably well. I think that's a lock. Coach of the year.
What's Saquon on that or McCaffrey?
Saquon is plus 700. He's third behind Dak and Burrow, and then McCaffrey's fourth at plus 800. Nick Bosa is another good one to look at for that too.
Yeah.
Coach of the year. Interesting list here.
I didn't look at many of these.
Coach of the year. I mean, I think, Brandon Staley, your surprising team of the year is the Chargers, right?
Correct.
Brandon Staley is the favorite for Coach of the Year, plus 1,000, which I don't know how they do that. I mean,
I guess if I were to pick
based off new hires.
If I were to pick one, I would go with the Jets.
Robert Saleh plus
Yeah.
2,000. Yeah. I think I would go with um, I think I would go with Kyle Shanahan plus
Uh,
1,400 because
I
I
just
think
I
they're
went
going to
with
win
a
Oscar
new.
here.
I was going with a new hire.
If I went with a new hire, I would go with Staley for the Chargers. No doubt. But those are some interesting ones. Maybe see if I can find a couple over unders on here just for fun. See if we can get any of those. I don't know where those are on here. Okay, yeah. Nope, those are the odds. Never mind. There we go. Over unders. I'm going to give you 3 teams just for fun, and you tell me if you take the over or the under. New England, over under 9.5.
Wins
Yeah,
over.
I think I like the over there as well. I'm going to find 2 more here for fun. Ooh, here's an interesting one. Detroit, over under 4.5 wins.
Over.
Yeah, I think they'll be anywhere from the 3 to 5 range, which makes this really hard to pick. I think I would take the under. I think they're going to be so bad. Let's do another good team here. Let's go with the Seahawks over under 10 wins.
Under.
Yeah, I think they're 9-8, maybe sneak in, maybe 10-7. I mean, I do have them making the playoffs, so they got to be at least 9-8 or 10-7. But that'll be a close one, something to keep an eye on for sure. But let's go.
I have them sneaking into the wild card, but
yeah, I don't know how it's gonna go. Let's go to the other sports, then we'll get to our picks of the week at the end. College basketball is where we go next.
yeah, you got Gonzaga's Mark Few sided with a DUI in Idaho.
Yeah, it's not good. Not good at all.
Who knows what the heck he's doing in Idaho?
And what's going to happen from here, we don't know. But they're going to be loaded, so he better be ready if they allow him to, I guess.
And then lastly, Kentucky lands Shadon Sharp. He's the number 1 player in the class of 2022, the first number 1 commit to Kentucky since Nerlens Noel.
Nerlens Noel's time in Kentucky was not great. Smashed his leg into the bottom of the hoop at Florida and got hurt, torn ACL, I believe. So hopefully it's better for
Mr.
Sharp.
What class was he? When was he?
So I'm trying to remember if he was. I think he was post Julius Randle, so 2014 maybe.
But so still 8 years since they've had an overall number 1 commit.
Yeah, I mean they've had some loaded classes, so I'm kind of surprised they didn't have the number 1. But a lot of the guys that in the top 3 don't work out for them except for Anthony Davis.
I didn't write one. Duke landed a guy, a 6'4" shooting guard. He's like number 47.
Is that the guy who was the first one to get for John Shire or whatever?
No,
for that era.
They literally just got he just went over the weekend on a visit and committed. They're comparing him to John Shire with his shooting and everything.
Interesting. Let's go to golf. A couple things to cover here. Season's over.
Yeah, you had the Tour Championship ended Sunday. The winner, Patrick Cantlay, won $15 million, shot 21 under. John Rahm, you had it second, shot 20 under.
It was a big season for Cantlay. Really came on at the end. I think DeChambeau completely choking at the BMW kind of boosted Cantlay. It was even more likely he was going to win this.
Brooks Koepka withdrew from the tournament after he had a hit where he his club face plowed into a tree root that was you couldn't see it under his ball.
Yeah.
And then he had his forearm was just killing him too much where he couldn't even hold on to the club.
Yeah, but I think he expects to be ready for the Ryder Cup, so
yeah,
should be fine in the next few weeks. And there you go.
And then the next tournament would be next weekend, the Fortinet Championship, defending champion Stuart Sink at the Silverado Resort and Spa North Course in Napa, California.
Yeah, we'll have the odds on that next week to pick that. So we'll do that next week. Skip the week for golf picks. The 2021 U.S. Ryder Cup team has been finalized. Whistling Straits is the course they'll be playing in a couple weeks, and Sheboygan, Wisconsin. You already have the automatic qualifiers: Morikawa, Dustin Johnson, Koepka, DeChambeau, Cantlay, JT. And the captain's picks for Stricker: Spieth, Schauffele, Finau, Scheffler, English, Berger. So Kevin Kisner, no. Kevin Na, no. Patrick Reed, no. I'm okay with it. I mean, the team's going to be good, but I don't love the captain's picks. I would have gone a little bit differently, personally.
Morikawa, too, he had an awful tournament in the Tour Championship. He started out 3 under. He ended even, so he shot 3 over for the tournament.
It's got to be the worst performance from a FedEx Cup #1, because going into the playoffs, which would be Northern Trust BMW Tour Championship, he was #1 going into that, and he was terrible at the Northern Trust. He was terrible at the BMW, terrible at the Tour. Weird, very weird. Kind of falling apart since winning the Open, but he's had a great season. He was an automatic qualifier anyway, #1 in the Ryder Cup standings, so hopefully he'll bounce back.
Yeah, hopefully he plays better in that.
Big stage for him. So let's go to baseball. Albert Pujols hits a home run, first game back in St. Louis since 2019, off of J-Hap. So not surprising that he did that.
Hey, it's a J-Hap or is it J-A? Because I thought
they used J-Hap.
I mean, they used to always call him J-A, right? On all of his things, it's J.A.Hap. But now everyone's calling him J. But I thought at the beginning of his career, they always called him J.A.
Well, we can call him Hap. Just Hap. Left-handed pitcher Hap.
I'm fine with calling him J. I'm just curious because wasn't at the beginning of his year or his career, it was always J.A.?
I've heard it both ways forever, so I don't even know at this point. It's actually quite confusing, but it is what it is, I suppose. Garrett Cole exited his Tuesday start against the Blue Jays. The Yankees have been getting hammered by the Blue Jays with a hamstring injury. The AL wildcard race heating up. You got the Yankees and Red Sox at the top right now, but looming behind them, the Blue Jays, the Mariners, and the A's. So should be an interesting finish to the AL wildcard race.
Pete Alonso becomes the second fastest player to 100 career home runs.
That's a quiet record to be near. I don't think a lot of people even realize that he was already near the 100 mark. I know he had a huge first season, but interesting.
DeGrom's elbow is perfectly intact. His return is unclear, though.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be back this year unless the Mets make the playoffs.
And then Nelson Cruz, age of 41, becomes the oldest player in MLB history with 30 home runs in a season.
It's about right. I mean, 41. How old's Pujols now? I think he's only 40. Because he's at 19. I mean, he could get to 30 if he has a huge rest of September, but that's not going to happen. But yeah, Nelson Cruz, every year he just mashes. So not surprising.
Oh, and it's always he's been bouncing around, but.
Yeah, he went from the Mariners. He was on the Rangers back in the day, Twins, Rays. He's been everywhere at this point. And
then the top current teams before Wednesday's games, you had San Francisco come back to take the overall #1 at 89-50, Tampa Bay at 88-51, and then the Dodgers at 88-51. But they're probably going to get another win today and tomorrow, so they'll have 90. They'll have 90 wins after Thursday.
Probably, yeah, I would agree. That's probably going to happen, and the same 3 teams will probably be on this list for the rest of the season.
Well, wait, who pitches today? Does Waino pitch today?
Yeah, Wainwright and Woodford tomorrow, so maybe a win in there.
Yeah, you might get a win tonight.
Okay, hockey real quick. I'll just go over these headlines. The Canadiens did not match the offer sheet by the Hurricanes for Jesperi Kotkaniemi, $6.1 million for the year. Smart decision, I think, by the Canadians to not match, but I also think he's going to be a much better fit in Carolina and can play well. Then after that, the Canadians traded 2 picks, I believe, a first and a third, or a first and a second. It was a conditional second, I believe, to the Coyotes for center Christian Dvorak to replace Kotkaniemi, so they had to do that.
This is, you talked about him last week as the guy that they were looking at, right? Or could
Yeah,
pick up.
I figured if they didn't match the Kotkaniemi offer sheet, they would probably then go to plan B, which would be trading for Dvorak, and it happened quickly after. So that was in the works, I suppose, for a while. The league officially reached an agreement with the IIHF, which is the International Something Hockey Federation, and the Players Association to send players to the 2022 Beijing Olympics. So they had the Olympic break in the schedule. Now we're officially going to see teams sitting there to watch Canada win the gold medal at the 2022 Winter Olympics in hockey. And then you had the Ottawa Senators extend general manager Pierre Dorian through the 2024-25 season. Nice little rebuild they got going there. Should be good by the time that contract is done. Interesting that they announced this before extending Brady Tkachuk, which is the big thing around them right now, is extending him. So we'll see when that gets done. College football just started. On to that we go. And UConn is an effing disaster. Why in the hell did I pick them week 1 to cover like a 30-point spread? Randy Edsall, second tour of duty or whatever they call it, out of UConn. He was there way back in the day. Then he came back. He resigned, was going to retire, then just decided, you know what, this is terrible. I'm done. Disastrous start to the season. They lose 45-0 to Fresno State. Fresno State, respectable team, but they lost to Holy Cross, 38-28, and that is just so bad. So, disaster.
And then LSU got destroyed by underrated UCLA after I said LSU was overrated or underrated.
Well, Chip Kelly's back, folks, so don't be surprised if UCLA wins it all this year.
No. And then the new top 25, Bama stays the number 1. Georgia goes up 3 spots to number 2. Ohio State goes up a spot to number 1. Oklahoma drops 2 to number 4. Texas A&M goes up 1 to number 5. Clemson drops 3 to number 6, which I still feel like they should have dropped more than 3 spots. Cincinnati goes up 1 to 7. Notre Dame up 1 to 8. Iowa State, even though they won, but they only won by 6 against Northern Iowa, drops 2 to number 9. Iowa goes up 8 to number 10. Penn State goes up 8 to number 11. Oregon drops 1 to number 12. Florida stays at 13. USC goes up 1 to number 14. Texas goes up 6 to number 15. UCLA goes to number 16 from being unranked. Coastal Carolina goes up 5 to number 17. Wisconsin drops 6 to number 18 after losing to Penn State. Virginia Tech goes to number 19 after being unranked. And I picked against them last week, but I forgot they were playing at Virginia Tech. And I forgot how that stadium rocks to enter Sandman.
Yep.
Ole Miss goes to number 20 after being unranked. I believe they beat Louisville Monday. I think that was the game we picked, right?
Yeah.
Utah goes up 3 to number 21. Miami drops 8 to number 22. But Miami played Alabama, correct?
Yeah, they got destroyed.
Arizona State goes up 2 to number 23. North Carolina drops 14 spots to number 24. And then Auburn slides in at number 25 after being unranked.
Interesting. I don't think Notre Dame should have gotten a bump, but I guess it's because of what teams did around them, I suppose. Not shocking that Texas gets a huge bump, because if Texas wins 3 games in a row, they'll be number 1. So, whatever. I don't disagree with Clemson only dropping 3. They were pretty bad, but Georgia's really good. I don't know.
They also, Clemson lost their safety, I believe, for the year.
Yeah. I mean, ACC is going to be interesting because the teams at the top did not look good to start the year.
No,
that being North Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see. Let's do the picks, I suppose. Last week I went 8-8. Interesting week. I'm now 93-76 in the season. But
I went
yeah.
9. I went 9-8. I went 93-82.
So we'll see. This is another big week here. Lots being picked this week. College football picks. We'll go to those first. By the way, I did win with Cantlay last week to finish top 5. He won. I really needed Rom to win. If Rom would have won, I would have hit on 2 golf picks. But so I was 7-8. Then Cantlay got me to 8-8. But let's do the MLB first, just to get that out of the way. And in Major League Baseball last week, I went 2-3. So this week
I did the same, but I had the Pirates plus 100 over the Cubs. They lost 5-6 in the 11th.
It's a tough one. We're doing 4 games this week in Major League Baseball. So
golf, I had Cantlay to win, so that worked out for me. I got one there, and then I also had Justin Thomas to finish in the top 10. He finished 4th. I almost switched him and Dustin Johnson, who I had finished top 5, which would have got me another one. So I got 2 marks in golf. And you said you had 1. You had Cantlay to finish top 5.
Yeah.
But that would have been huge. Put a little money on Cantlay at plus 380 to win.
Yep. Not great odds for somebody who's number 1 going into the week, but whatever.
But for Justin Thomas finished top 10, I would have had to put $135 on there just to win 100 because he was minus 135.
Yeah.
NCAA football, I had my Big Ten game was Penn State versus Wisconsin. I had Penn State plus 5.5, got a win there. I had Texas minus 8. I got a win there. Pac-12, I was BYU, Arizona. I had Arizona plus 12.5. That did not happen. BYU destroyed Arizona. And then I had UCLA or UNC at Virginia Tech. I had UNC minus 5.5. LSU minus 3. Bama. Indiana and Iowa. I had Indiana plus 3. Iowa destroyed them. I had Georgia plus 3. Notre Dame minus 7.5, so I lost that one. And then I had Ole Miss minus 10, got that one. So it's 5-5 in college football.
I also went 5-5. North Carolina minus 5.5, no. Oregon minus 20.5, no. That was just a stupid pick right there. Clemson minus 3, no. LSU minus 3, no. Louisiana plus 8, no. But my wins, Florida State plus 7.5, Ole Miss minus 10, Texas Tech minus 2.5, Iowa minus 3.5. That was a slaughter. And then Michigan minus 17, another slaughter. So let's do this week. Major League Baseball. I'll just do mine here quickly in baseball. Braves minus 240 against the Nationals tomorrow. Phillies minus 165 against the Rockies. Twins plus 100 against the Indians. White Sox plus 100 against the A's. My 4 picks.
I have the Dodgers minus 190 over the Cardinals. The Mets minus 155 over Miami. Stroman's pitching. Philly minus 180 over Colorado. And then the Braves minus 210 over Washington.
Okay, let's do college football here and get that done. We are picking 1 from each of the Power 5 conferences and then the 3 big games of the week. So I'll let you start with the 3 big games of the week.
I got Oregon plus 14.5. I think Ohio State's going to win this game, but I'm hoping that Oregon can keep it close. Our next one's Iowa versus Iowa State. I have Iowa plus 4.5. And then Utah versus BYU. I have BYU plus 7. BYU looked really good.
We're going head-to-head on 2 of these. Give me Ohio State minus 14.5 against Oregon. As much as I want the Ducks to win, they looked horrible last week. And I don't know if Kayvon Thibodeau is going to be healthy enough to play. Obviously, the best player on the defensive side of the ball for the team. One of the best defenders in the country, probably. I also think Iowa plus 4.5, though. Iowa looked really good last week, so I'll take them. I'll take Utah minus 7 at BYU. I just think that BYU played a really bad Arizona team, and I don't know how sustainable this entire season is going to be for BYU. It's a big shift in quarterback play. It's hard
Yeah.
to play like
Yeah,
that, but
they looked really good in that game. I watched part of it.
all I remember from watching that game when it was on the TV was Jed Fish, who I think that's the name of the Arizona coach, just bitching at the refs. That's all I remember from that game. I don't remember anything else. But let's do the 5 Power 5 picks. You can go with those now.
Big Ten, I got Washington at Michigan. Michigan -7. Who do you got in the Big Ten?
Michigan -7 as well.
Big 12, I got Texas at Arkansas. Texas -7.
I also have Texas -7.
Pac-12, I have the UNLV at Arizona State. I have UNLV plus 33.5.
That's a big number. I'm going with a big underdog as well in the Pac-12. As much as I think Stanford's not as good as they used to be and USC's better, I like Stanford to cover plus 17. That's a pretty large number. I think they can keep this within 2 touchdowns, but that's maybe a little optimistic.
I mean, I think I might put money on that UNLV game with that big of a spread.
It's a huge number.
I mean, they would have to lose by 34 points.
That's hard to do if you're a D1 Power 5 school.
And Arizona State didn't look the greatest last week. The ACC, I have NC State at Mississippi State. I got Mississippi State plus 2.5.
ACC, I'm taking Virginia Tech minus 20.5 against Middle Tennessee. Middle Tennessee cannot have a good football team, so I'll go with
it. You're just saying they cannot have a good one.
There's no way. No way anybody goes there to play football.
The SEC, I have Mizzou at Kentucky. I got Kentucky -5.
I also have Kentucky -5. Missouri did not look good last week. Kentucky's better, so I'll go with that. Okay, the big one, the NFL picks for the week. We will start in Thursday Night Football tomorrow evening to kick off the season. The Cowboys and the Bucks. Who you like?
I got Tampa -8.5.
Also have Tampa -8.5. So now we'll go with, do you want to do the 5 games and then the Sunday night, Monday night?
Yeah, that's fine.
So go ahead and do your 5.
I got the Chargers at Washington. I got the Chargers -1. Seattle at Indy. I got Seattle -2.5. Jacksonville at Houston. I got Jacksonville -3. I just think Trevor Lawrence will win his first game.
Good matchup for him. Houston's terrible.
Green Bay at New Orleans. I got Green Bay -3.5. Cleveland at Kansas City. I got Kansas City -5.5.
All right, so we got a couple of the same picks in head-to-head. I have the Chargers -1 against the Washington Football Squad. I have the Vikings -3.5 at the Bengals. The Colts +2.5 against the Seahawks. The Chiefs -5.5 against the Browns. And the Patriots -3 against the Dolphins.
I want to watch that game.
Patriots,
what time is that? A 3:00 game?
The 3:25, but our area is going to be the Green Bay, or no, not the Kansas City Cleveland game on CBS.
I mean, I'll be somewhere watching it with Red Zone, so hopefully I can see a little portion of that game.
Red Zone is always the key. Bears Rams Sunday Night Football. The Bears are +7.5. Rams -7.5, obviously. So who you like?
I got the Bears +7.5.
Yeah, I think the Bears can cover the +7.5. I don't know if they'll win, but yeah, I think the Bears are the type of team that's average but keeps a lot of games close. Like they're never getting destroyed unless it's against the Packers. So
it's going to be weird seeing Matt Stafford in a Rams uniform.
Yeah, like 4 or 5 years ago, would you ever think that we'd have a week 1 matchup, a primetime game with Matthew Stafford versus Andy Dalton, and it's Bears-Rams? That's kind of weird.
No.
Monday Night Football, Ravens-Raiders. Ravens 4-point favorites.
Yeah, I have Baltimore -4.
Also have Baltimore -4. So we got a lot of similar picks here. So I don't know how much of a swing we're going to have in the yearly record, but we will see. It should be a very exciting week 1. We'll cover all of it next week, probably go game by game to discuss those. And, maybe do a little fantasy recap each week of how our teams did. and go from there. But hope everyone enjoys week 1 of the NFL season. Lots to cover next week, and we'll see you for a mid-September episode 29. Wow, that's a bad way for the voice to go down. 29 of the Sports Mashup. See you next week.